China's rising protests are in the spotlight. For more on the new developments, NTD's Don Ma spoke to Frank Gaffney. He's an expert on China and the executive chairman of the Center for Security Policy.
Frank, always great to see you.
Great to be with you.
Seems like you're on the road, so I don't want to take up too much of your time. But let me ask you this. Do some of the protesters, they were chanting things like, Xi Jinping step down, CCP step down. What do you think Xi Jinping is feeling in light of this?
Angry, I'm sure. They're raining on the coronation parade, the honeymoon that he's supposed to have as the newly coronated emperor of China. And here you have evidence that there are not only large numbers of people across the country who are furious about what he has been doing to them, to their families, to their, I'm sure their businesses, their society, through this zero COVID policy, is now translating into a desire to overthrow the Chinese Communist Party and specifically to remove him from power. And that's now being expressed by, significant numbers of people. Whether they can pull this off, whether they can continue to build momentum behind their protests, all remains to be seen, given the power of the state, given the social credit system and the surveillance state apparatus available to the CCP and its ruthlessness, especially under Xi Jinping. It's very uncertain how long this can go on, but it is to be applauded and it is to be supported, it seems to me, certainly by anybody who understands the extent of the danger that the Chinese Communist Party represents, not just to the people of China, but to us.
Now you said Xi Jinping is angry. Do you think there's an element of fear in that emotion as well?
I think there's always fear. These totalitarians understand that they're a bullet away from being removed from power. And, it doesn't happen very often, but when it does, they're gone. And I think this is a question of, is it the case that the hold on power of the Chinese Communist Party is such that it can have confidence that all of the security apparatus and the local police, as well as, the Praetorian Guard, are completely reliable? And I have the feeling that that's not the case, and we certainly ought to encourage the people around Xi Jinping and the Chinese Communist Party to make clear that they regard them as illegitimate and they want to be done with them. And that's what the people of China are now doing, and we ought to be helping them do it.
What do you think is going to be Xi Jinping's response in light of these protests? Do you think Xi might consider easing some of the COVID restrictions, or is he going to suppress the protesters? What do you think?
Oh, I think it's likely that he'll opt for suppressing the protesters ruthlessly and comprehensively. I don't see him, as was true of, Deng Xiaoping at the time of the Tiananmen Square massacre, the last time that you saw this level of opposition being overtly expressed by the people of China. And that ended very badly for those seeking freedom and demonstrating against the party. That will be more likely than not the case here too, but all the more reason why we must make this as costly to the Chinese Communist Party as we can. Remember, after the Tiananmen Square massacre, George Bush sent his national security advisor, Brent Scowcroft, and others to Beijing to promise that there would be no adverse impact on business relations and diplomatic relations, for that matter, between the United States and China. That message must not be sent this time around. We must stand firmly on the side of the people of China, seeking to bring down, as I said, a regime that brutally represses them and mortally threats us as well.